Introducing a new podcast. Karen Hunter is awesome.
If you like me on SiriusXM Urban View Channel 126, you're gonna love me. And Karen Hunter is awesome. Hey, this is Karen Hunter, host of the Karen Hunter Show on SiriusXM's Urban View. Karen Hunter is awesome is an actual podcast to bring heat and energy and knowledge and power. A 1-2 punch that I don't think you get anyplace else. Tell the truth. So check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast. You will not be disappointed.
Karen Hunter is awesome. A new podcast from Karen Hunter.
You were kind of doing an autopsy on what happened, back in November, a month ago. And I was impressed because you were saying some of the things that I've been thinking and saying, but you put some meat behind it. So I just, we were talking today about the need for, you said, is everything set? It's all clear now. The deck is cleared. We no longer have Democrats and Republicans. I've been saying that for years.
Yeah.
So what do we have? And people are struggling with that. I asked the question earlier, do you still consider yourself a Democrat? Do you still consider yourself a Republican? What does that mean? And people are having a hard time really defining that because I don't know what it means now.
Yeah.
So where are we, Miss Marie?
Well, I don't know as though anybody is anyone's source for anything, but my observation is that people don't care about party affiliation. And there's three numbers that really define that and articulate it in a very spectacular way, is that of all Trump voters in 2024, only 22% said that they were either felt that they were Republicans or registered as Republicans, 22%. So about a fifth of his total vote share. And then overall in the entire universe of voters, only about 32 say that they're Democrat-ish. And then another 32-ish say that they're, or 33 or something in that neighborhood, say that they're Republican-ish. So what that tells me is that we no longer have these strong party voters. We have context voters. So it's voters that look at their day and what is really challenging for them in any given day or any given week or any given month. And it's everyday issues, right? But they're context voters. They're not party line voters anymore. And we have to get our arms around that and really understand that a lot better.
You represented Illinois' District 3, 3rd Congressional District. You ran for re-election and lost in your primary roundly to the person that eventually went on to win the seat.
Right.
As you look back, first of all, why did you run to begin with?
For the reasons that these voters vote, these context voters vote, is that it's everybody's every day, right? It's of course we're thinking long term, and as a government, a responsible body, and partnering with business, all those kind of good lofty things, we think long term. But people have an every day. They have to pay their healthcare bills. They have to pay for their groceries for that day. They have to think about, how they're going to make enough money to support 3 kids and a dog and maybe a generational situation, parents at home. They're thinking about their everyday. And so that's why I ran, because I lived paycheck to paycheck. I didn't have healthcare for 4 years. I experienced all those things. And I think that if we had more people in office that had lived experience around those everyday-ish things, we'd be in a lot better position. So that's why I ran. First time I ran, I lost by 2%. And then the second time I won. And the third time I was redistricted out of my district. And that's okay. Like there's a lot of ways to give and contribute, right? So I'm honored and pleased that I could have been there to help. And I'm honored and pleased to be where I'm at right now as an activist. But I will tell you, it is the everyday thing. Every single member of Congress should understand what everybody's everyday is.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And the first time you ran and won, you got 172,000, almost 173,000 votes. How did you get redistricted out of, how did that happen?
Good question. It's, some states, it's very transparent. There's a few states that do a really good job of making it very transparent. Illinois is not one of them. I'll never be able to say whether it was fair or unfair, right? Because there's no process in writing. There's nothing to be accountable to. So I can never say, oh gosh, that was unfair or it was very fair. Like there's just no way of knowing. So for me, I would say that that, of course, redistricting is an important thing we do every year. It addresses our population growth as a country, it reapportions, and all of those things are important. So it's it's a federal law, and then every state has to abide by it. So no issue with that. But I do think
pause for a second, because it's also tied to the census.
right.
So if people don't fill out the census in your district, you lose those people.
Right. Well, and what's funny about that is in Illinois, we thought we lost people. So we lost a whole district, which is why I got redistricted out, right? We lost one. So, somebody, it's like musical chairs, right? Somebody has to not have a chair. But in Illinois, with the funny and ironic part, and to my husband, it's not so funny, is that we thought we lost about 8,000 in population. Turns out we actually gained about 50,000 because every census has a kind of a reconciliation period after you send in your final numbers. And, COVID was hard. So it's nobody's fault that it wasn't perfect. It just wasn't, right? And let's be honest, like a lot of people didn't want to fill out forms for a wide variety of reasons, whether it was they were somehow worried about a loved one that was in an undocumented situation, COVID, a bunch of things. So God bless everybody, right? It just didn't go my way. And so the census ended up being a situation where we wouldn't have had to gotten rid of the 18th district, but we did. So we are where
we'll probably find out that Kamala Harris actually won, but I'm gonna say less. We're gonna put that because it is what it is, right? Yeah. So Sean, or it could be that some big billionaires wanted Sean Casten in that position for whatever reason, and but now you're here. What did you learn from the 2 years that you were in Congress that would help us, those of us who vote?
Yeah, I think the good news is that there are. Honestly, Karen, everybody thinks that Congress is just filled with all of these horrible people. It's not. There's a lot of really good and well-intended and very talented people there. And I want to assure everybody of that. There are, I would say, overwhelmingly 2/3 of them are there, even if they're, have different values than me. They're principled. They want to work for their district. They understand their district. Another, third, not so much, right? And then the problem of money in politics, right? Is that we got all of these great things done from in the 117th Congress that I was part of. 118th, we've gotten nothing done because it was run by the Republicans. But when I was there, I was proud. We got Build Back Better done. I passed 6 bills as a freshman. That kind of happens, and all of them were bipartisan, interestingly enough, as a progressive person. So what that tells me is that when you work really hard, you can get a lot done, and we can get things done with the other party. We can get things done that are popular and practical and progressive, as I always say. But money in politics has to go. We aren't going to get anything done until we get money out of politics, period.
I have that. So I have like 3 things that I think we can do. And I think that overturning, maybe we can't overturn Citizens United yet, but we can kneecap the ability by showing up in numbers and putting people in office who will go with that agenda to get rid of Citizens United. Corporations are not people. They should not have more power than I have. And do you think that's reasonable? Is that something that and how do we do that?
So what's funny is everybody assumes because Citizens United let's throw up our hands and we can't do anything. That's absolutely wrong. There are literally hundreds of things we can do to get around that issue. Congressman Ro Khanna from California has a great bill on the table right now that would eliminate corporate PACs and the amount of PACs money that can go to super PACs and a bunch of things. So your kneecapping notion is exactly right, Karen. We can do a ton to bring it to its knees, quite literally, and it can be done quickly. It just requires the will of a few. And unfortunately, 89% of Congress takes corporate PAC money. I was not one of them. I was one of the very few that did not. And it's very frustrating because they get their talking points and they're beholden to that commitment that they have committed to those corporations.
So sunshine and bright lights. Can we get a list? We need a list somewhere, right? I mean, Ballotpedia does a great job. Yeah. But there should be a list somewhere that shows everyone who takes corporate money. We should make that the issue. Let's eliminate corporate PACs. And then here are all of the people that take corporate money. And because House of Representatives, they get reelected every 2 years, A lot of these folk run unopposed. The fact that you had a challenger tells me that something else was going on, but I'm gonna say less about that. Marie Newman is here. But we can start targeting some of these places, and we only need a handful. We don't need everybody that is taking all 89%. We just need a few key loud people who are going to be upset about being made public and embarrassed. Maybe is embarrassment on the table? I feel like people aren't embarrassed anymore about anything.
You know what? I don't know as though shame is something that really happens to politicians anymore, but it certainly is inconvenient, because I will say, and we know this from the data, is that 70% of the nation, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, they do not want money in politics, and they're very frustrated by it. But yet 89% of Congress still takes corporate PAC money, and extensively. Some of these folks get $1 million a year from these folks. I mean, it's a lot of money.
Where do we find the list? Where can we start?
There are a bunch of really great independent news outlets that do track this stuff. The Lever is one of them. ProPublica.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm not thinking of all of them right now, but they do a really good job. And you know what? It's a Google shot away. It's not a hard thing to find.
Okay. All right. What else should we be concerned? Because I want to do things like reparations. I feel like is going to take a little bit more, especially with this administration. Maybe not. I don't know. But you know, I want something that everyone can get behind. Like it's a non-starter. Like we all think money is a problem, so let's get rid of it. Okay, I think we can get enough people behind a coalition to make this happen. What other things are right there that we can cherry pick? Because we need some wins.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I think if whatever movement moves forward, and it can be out of any party or not party, right? I'm hearing a lot of good things around getting around an FDR agenda, meaning that, improving production, creating jobs that actually have strong wages, and improving and having healthcare for all, having childcare for all of those things, and extending the child tax credit, all those things that would make our everyday easier, because our wages will be more than the expenses we have every day. You know, it just is a ledger thing, right? Like, let's make sure we have strong wages and prices are fair and not inflated. It's just this kind of FDR-esqueness, I think, that will appeal to working families again. And that's who we lost, Karen, right? We lost in this last election. We lost working families. And then stop treating every single community or group like they're a monolith, because I got to tell you, whether you are a Black American, an Asian American, a South Asian American, a Arab American, a white American, whatever you are, we don't all operate the same way. I got to tell you. And so let's market our message to behaviors and motivations and attitudes and perspectives, not the color of our skin or our age or any of that nonsense, right?
Why is it so effective though? That's such the Haitian cats and dog thing I thought would be a disqualifier. It was not, Marie Newman. It was not.
I know.
I thought for sure, all of this talk about transgender, most of us don't have any transgender people. We've never encountered someone in the bathroom. That thing worked. That thing worked.
Oh, that ad, I know. I think it did have some impact where it was played, which was ridiculous. And so that constant hornswoggling of the American public, we have to get back to a place where it's like, stop talking about things that don't happen, and let's talk about the fact that we don't have enough good wage paying jobs. Let's talk about a real thing. Let's not talk about this nonsense.